Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Our Life, Beginnings, and Always. This is another one of those nights where I'm not supposed to be recording for all our life right now. But listen, after last episode, this is all that I can think about. I'm so excited to get into step 3 and see what is going on. So we're recording for it anyway, you know? Listen, I have the time for it, technically. So, in this episode, hopefully we'll get through hang and through errands, but I don't know what that means, so let's hang, right? You grabbed the large beach towel from off your bed and stuffed it into a bag. You'd already packed your water bottle for your upcoming beach hangout session. The stars had aligned, and somehow everyone was free today. Miranda had set things up with several bubbly phone calls between you, Cove, and Terry to find a time to hit the beach. You were hoping that this would be a fun time together. Hi. Cove sat on your windowsill and kicked one of his legs into the air idly. He already had his swimsuit on, and his towel was bundled under his arm in a misshapen ball. He showed up earlier that morning with a surprising amount of enthusiasm. He was chatting as you caught up to his preparation. But seriously, I couldn't find my swimsuit this morning. I looked everywhere. It had disappeared. I had no idea what I was going to do. You could have gotten a new one somewhere. You being a little late is better than you not showing up at all. Sure, but I like this one. Anyways, I don't know why it was in the bathroom when I never put it there. He gave a small smile and readjusted the towel in his arms. You can now see that it had been folded at some point, but then rolled up and carried without much care. But I'm just glad that I found it. It would have been crappy to lose my favorite trunks. It was nice to see Cove so happy and comfortable in what he was wearing. He walked over to your dresser and mused about how you had picked out your own swimsuit. Your height had complicated your swimsuit shopping. What the hell? Not many swimsuits were well-fitting on someone who's petite. And then for the shape of your body... Okay, I guess I call myself slender? Somewhere between slender and generally medium, but I don't know. And... Oh. I was gonna go for you had little, because I didn't read a little, just you had little muscle definition, but it goes further. Your body was delicate. I don't really know what that means compared to like soft, but delicate sounds like me. There was a fragility to your build. Okay, maybe not that small. Jeez. Sure, there was a smooth feel to your build without any hard muscle, even if you flexed. You had become heavier than what you were used to be when you were younger. You had grown over the years and fleshed out a little bit more. You alright? Yeah, I was thinking about some things. What things? Just myself and my body, really. Okay. Weird talk to have, but his eyebrow rose at your admission of self-reflection. And what do you think? It is the flesh suit that I am trapped in, so... What did you think about who you were? You considered your identity further. How? What the hell? I love this. You knew for sure that you were non-binary. You had no questions about that part. People had a lot of their identity wrapped up in their physical form. It shaped their self-image. I'm... comfortable, I guess. Like, your body was you, and it was, well, your body was you. You focused on Cove again. He smiled at you and tilted his head, a question still in his eyes. He was waiting for you to come to an answer. Before you could, you had something to say to him. What? What? I would never ask somebody this question. Any of these. I guess, what do you think? About how I look, I mean. Cove smirked a little, his eyes Okay, don't make it weird. Wishing for compliments, Kit? You look great, everyone knows that, including you, by the way. Unless that's changed. Thanks. I didn't want a compliment, I was just asking. Fine. Cove shook his head. His hand went up to try to unsubtly cover his smile. I was kind of worried that you were so in your head because something was wrong. Guess not. I'm glad. Hey, Kit. Cove gave a bent smile, pointing to your arms. You're looking particularly shapely today. Arms, specifically? They're noodles. It's... He answered not with words, but a solid okay sign with both hands. Cheeky smile. Both-handed okay. Cove suddenly flushed when he realized how boldly he'd complimented you. He stood by it, even if he was a little red. You were a little taken aback. That came out of nowhere. You glanced at yourself. I didn't know you liked my arms so much. Yeah. These noodles? You posed dramatically. You showed off your guns, fighting laughter. First the right, then the left. You then flexed both of your arms and widened your stance in a stereotypical strong pose. I hate this. Cove turned bright red and jumped to his feet. Okay, it's not that serious. His towel dropped to the ground as he practically flew over to you. He looked at your arms and then tried to gently nudge them back down. Yeah, you can stop now. Really. He laughed nervously and flailed a little. You took pity on him and stopped displaying yourself. You got the reaction you wanted. He retreated back to the sitting on the windowsill and retrieved his towel, head hung low to try hiding his expression. Finally, you felt that was enough of that topic for one day. You went back to your original goal before you got sidetracked. You needed to pick what you wanted to wear to the beach. Oh, interesting. A Speedo? Ew. Swim trunks and a top is what I choose. While you dug around in your drawers, you tried to think if there was anything else you were missing. I can't say no to any of these. I don't, like, you have the swim trunks. Those are shorts. You don't need a shirt. You're bringing a shirt. I don't need sunglasses or a hat. I don't wear them. A shawl. A swimsuit cover-up. It's shorts and a shirt. Goggles. What do I think I'm doing? Maybe a hat. I don't know. With that taken care of, you held your outfit together and looked to Cove. He was tapping his toes on the side of the wall as he waited. You vaguely wondered if he thought that was a comfortable place to sit. You hoped so, given how long he'd perched on it. Regardless, it was time for him to go. You weren't going to put on your beachwear with him just chilling there. I generally change in the bathroom, so no, you could stay, I could go, but I need to change. Cove smiled, content with being kicked out. Be gone. Alright. Cove lowered himself off the window and strolled past you to get to the door. I'll see you out front. Okay. When you were alone, you got undressed and put your swimwear on. You also checked your beach bag for the final time, and it seemed like you hadn't forgotten anything. You left your room and hurried down the stairs, ready to meet Cove. You made sure to lock your front door and walked outside. Cove stood in the road, looking down and scuffing his feet on the asphalt. When you shut your heavy door, he looked up at you and smiled. Nice to see you again. It's been 5 seconds. Hi, Miranda and Terry are going to be here in not too long. Terry even texted me earlier saying she was mostly on schedule. Why don't we just head down to the beach and wait for them there? We're both ready. That sounded like a good idea to you. You said as much, and Cove shot off a quick text telling the two of them where you'd be. Cove gave you a thumbs up after the message sent. It was a familiar path to walk, and it wasn't long until you reached the shore. Cove laid out his towel on the warm sand. You set up your stuff beside him and looked out into the ocean. The rolling swells hit the shore rhythmically. You had lucked out. It was a beautiful day. The sky was clear, the waves were good. It was a balmy summer day, but with a pleasant breeze to keep things comfortable. Essentially, it was perfect. Do you feel like heading into the water? Maybe just walk down the shore? Or do you want to do something here? What? I don't like going into the water at the beach, so I guess we could walk? You wiggled your toes in response to the comment and looked off into the shoreline. Cove nodded, accepting the plan. He kicked some sand off his towel absent-mindedly. Yeah, sounds nice. You took a deep breath and tasted the relaxing, salty air. Cove caught your eye and gave you a small smile. You chatted a little before a comfortable quiet settled over the two of you, content to watch the waves as you waited for the others. Luckily, it didn't take long until you heard shouts. You turned your head to see both Miranda and Terry running straight for you. Miranda was faster, making leaps and bounds across the sand. Terry followed in her wake, laughing with her towel clutched around her shoulders and flowing like a cape. Cute. Miranda started making her jumps more theatric and more precarious as she got closer. Cove waved them on with a bright grin. I guess a laugh? They always found a way to make such a memorable entrance. Ooh, okay. I like Miranda's swimsuit. It's colorful. The two officially arrived at Cove's in your setup, looking completely ready for an ocean adventure. They were already in their swimwear and were raring to go. Hey Terry, Miranda. Welcome to the beach. Hi. Hello, hello. She beamed and Miranda nodded with a smile. Man, I am so pumped. Yeah, I'm really glad this worked out. What have you guys been up to over here in your town, Cove? Kit? Have we missed things? Cove blinked and then shrugged when nothing he wanted to mention came to mind. This is the first moment of the step, so nothing much has happened. I guess a vague answer. Just stuff, nothing too interesting. She looked skeptical, but dropped it. Terry then started talking about her morning and how she'd almost overslept since she'd stayed up too late last night. She bounced on her feet as she spoke. But don't worry about me being tired today, you know I ran on less back during school. Miranda filled in the group about her morning. Apparently everything had gone smoothly. She met up with Terry on the way here, and you knew the rest. Cove offered a suggestion to the girls. Hey, let's walk while we catch up. Oh yeah, definitely. You felt pleased that Cove remembered what you wanted to do. Sometimes he could be thoughtful like that. It was 5 seconds ago. Once everyone's stuff was settled on the beach, the group strolled over to the shoreline. The wet sand was cool under your feet. A wave rushed up and covered your ankles in water. You flinched from the suddenness of it, but by the next wave you were acclimated. You took another step forward and sank a little into the ground. Behind you, your footprints were soon smoothed by the waves. Your friends chatted as you all walked together. You took turns pointing out cool shells or pieces of sea glass. It was a relaxing jaunt. Hours passed, and the group had moved between different activities, some low-key and some more exhaustive. For you, it was another break time. You sat on your towel and sipped at some water. Your friends were hard at work bearing Terry's full body under a pile. Miranda used her arms to force up sand around Terry's sides. Cove worked on covering Terry's feet. You took another drink and closed your eyes. Eventually, a shadow passed over you, dampening the light that was still notable even behind your eyelids. You checked to see Cove had joined you there. He knelt down to dig around in the pile of assorted beach stuff in the middle of everyone's towel setup and pulled out the sunscreen. He took a seat next to you on his towel. I'm a little bit nervous. He opened the bottle with a soft pop and began to reapply the cream. Hey. After he finished up, Cove let out a comfortable sigh and looked off into the distance. But then he sighed again, this time in an exaggeratingly disappointed way. He wondered if he was going to sigh again, even more dramatically, if you didn't say anything. Oh, Cove, whatever it is, I'm sure it's gonna be okay. After all, this is an excellent place to hide a body. He gestured to Terry, who was practically just a hill of sand with a human head at this point. I got a quick chuckle out of him, but he quickly hid his amusement. Cove shook his head, comically despondent. His frown didn't match the sparkle in his eyes. I'm just becoming another jaded adult, that's all. Now you were really confused. You waited for him to continue, and his next sigh did not disappoint. It was the most ridiculously sad sigh you had ever heard. Then he smiled a little. Mermaids aren't real. Oh no! Now I'm gonna be a ridiculously jaded adult. What? That had not been what you were expecting. He continued. You know how much I liked mermaids as a kid. Well, merfolk as a whole. I really hoped that they were out there. I mean, the ocean's a big place, right? They could be somewhere. But the older I got, the more I had to accept it. They were just a fairy tale. He jerked his head over to the waterline and the rolling waves. They crashed against the shore and then drew back. This is a perfect beach for them. It's pretty and vast and never too crowded. If merfolk did exist, we definitely would have met one by now. Or at least we would have heard of someone else seeing one, but nothing. He acted as though that result was a true bafflement. He let his head hang. I've got to let the dream go. I mean, I started this by pretending to be shocked and disappointed. I'm just hoping that this is shock and disappointment over mermaids not being real and not him letting go of the idea that mermaids are. I don't know. I guess I don't care either way. What? Mermaids aren't real? You looked at him and tried to get fake tears to start welling up in your eyes. I can't believe it. Cove chuckled a little to himself, eyes tilted off into the sea, his face still low. Maybe it's for the best. Let's say a merperson did happen to wash up on shore one day. He looked at you with a faux doleful expression. I could have lost my best friend to their magical underwater world. Honestly, I don't like merfolk, so it'd probably be you who went, but I'd go with a merperson, but only if you could come with us too. Cove grinned. He hadn't expected that answer. You're a nice person, Kit. But what if they didn't want me? Would you seriously stay on land? You gave him a look. You meant what you had said. It'd only work if the offer was for the both of you. Are you sure that's the right call? If a beautiful, kind merperson falls for somebody, I'm pretty positive that the sensible response isn't to turn around and say, no thanks, I'm gonna stay on land with a normal guy. These are both really good. Oh no. I want to know what he says for this, but this is the answer that I'm going to choose. I just want to look and see. Why wouldn't you? That's just obvious. The more Cove spoke, the more it sounded like he could be the merfolk himself. He was choking on air, a fish out of water. Oh, okay. I mean, you're charming and talented. He barely eked out the last word. There isn't anyone who wouldn't choose you. Damn! You were completely flattered by how highly he thought of you. And then Miranda screeched, so we're going back. Why aren't you the merperson? Cove turned his face to beam at you. He brightened immediately. Now we're talking. I'd be a good merman, right? You'd make the best merman. Cove's gaze was drawn back to the water with shining eyes. He was clearly imagining some world where he was a merman who happened upon you here at this beach. You tried to picture what he could be thinking. It would be quite a lovely story. and then you heard Miranda screech. Your attention immediately switched over to your friends. You saw that Terry had gotten impatient and shifted her legs. The walls Miranda had been meticulously building collapsed into a wet heap of sand. She surveyed the damage critically. We're gonna have to start over on that part. Do you just want to give up on this now? No way, the burial must continue. I'll try not to move anymore. Okay, if you're sure, I'll try to fix this. Miranda started to rebury her, and Terry shot her a thumbs up. She realized too late that moving her arm was a bad idea. More of the sand on her crumbled, and Miranda put her head in her hands. Cove caught your eye and started to drag himself up. Seems like we're needed. You agreed and followed him over to the girls. Miranda nodded at you both with appreciation, and the three of you did your best to finish the job. You all worked out on a system of using just enough wet sand to help hold the rest together. With 3 people, it didn't take long for Terry to be entombed. Terry grinned massively, and Miranda offered high fives. The pile was officially done. Oh yeah! Resembling the Kool-Aid man, she kicked herself out of the ground with gusto. Sand went flying in all directions, and a Terry-shaped imprint was left behind. Miranda yelled again, and Cove chuckled. There probably wasn't a better way to get out of it. The 4 of you continued to have a good time. You went on a shell hunt. Miranda managed to find the biggest, while you found the most colorful. Cove caught a tiny crab. You did a bit of everything. There were impromptu games, to just soaking up in each other's company. However, after a while, you had all ran out of water. Drinkable water, anyway. It was decided that you'd head to you or Cove's house. Things were gathered, and you started to cheerfully walk up the road. What next? I don't have anywhere to go, so it could be whatever. Same, I guess we could keep hanging out. Terry snorted and readjusted her grip on her things. Don't sound too sure there, Cove. By this point, you could see your house. It hadn't taken you long to make the trip. The conversation continued with everyone throwing out suggestions. Are people hungry? She looked from face to face in inspection. Cove and Miranda shrugged in concert. No one was overtly opposed to it. However, you weren't really starving. It wasn't quite a mealtime. We could get dessert. Miranda put a finger to her lip and thought. With a smile, her voice became more confident. Yeah, that would be fun. Terry considered it and then shot Miranda a thumbs up. Sounds great to me. I can definitely go for that. You know I'm up for more. But there's nothing sweet at my house. Your friends glanced at Cove and his place. He shook his head immediately. Dad doesn't have anything good either. I mean, unless you want dessert-flavored protein shakes. Ew, no. She cut in and held her hands up as if trying to ward off something evil. Cove smirked. It's not that bad. No. Well, there has to be some kind of sweet shop around here. Let's look it up. Terry nodded and started to dig around in her bag. I like the way you think. Terry continued to rummage in her bag and grew increasingly frustrated. She puffed out her cheeks and knelt down, setting the bag on the ground. With both hands free, she was finally able to fish out her phone. Okay. I thought she lost it. She raised it up in triumph for a brief moment of celebration. I'll search for something good. Terry got back to her feet, hefting the bag over one arm, tapping away at her screen in the other. But she assessed Cove from top to bottom. No shirt, no shoes, no service. Cove glanced down at his bare chest and feet, having not even registered it prior. He chuckled a little. I'll grab something. Cove moved over to his house. He looked towards yours. I mean, I'm wearing shorts and a shirt. I can wait. You watched Cove disappear into his house. Terry was deep in the midst of scrolling through food options. You shuffled over to where you could still see, and Miranda did the same. There's ice cream. People love ice cream, especially around here. I don't really feel like ice cream. Cool, so I don't either. She flicked her finger up and found another ice cream place. Melty Moo Moo's frozen treats with an unfortunate cartoon mascot. I like ice cream, it's just Not for today, there has to be something else. You thought on it, and Terry kept scrolling. You heard a door open, and Cove reappeared. You were just about to be surprised at how quick he was, but then noticed he'd just thrown on a t-shirt over his swim trunks and slipped on a pair of sandals. Of course. Hey. Everyone else exchanged their respective greetings and then looked back at Terry's phone. Terry scrolled further and then made an interested exclamation. Oh, what about this place? They sell crepes. That's something you don't see every day. Look how fancy they are. She shoved her phone into your face. Okay, why am I the executive decision maker? It seemed like a cute shop. It didn't show any pictures of the actual building, but the food seemed good. It was one of those places that put a lot of effort into presentation with branded wrapping for the crepes and well-applied toppings. Weird. I've never heard of it. I haven't either. Mysterious, but crepes are so good. She nodded her approval as Terry admired more of the photos. I'd go. It's not too far, but we could drive. Terry cheered at the success of the plan made, and you all walked around to Cove's car. He had to run inside once more to grab his keys. You wrote "wash me" in the dirt on his car. You noticed a thin coat of sand and dust on Cove's car. It had probably been a while since he'd washed it. With a smirk, you carefully wrote "wash me" with your finger. Good work. I wonder if he was even going to notice. The car beeped and unlocked. Cove ran up to you with his car keys in hand. His hair slipped into his face and he brushed it back. Shotgun. She clambered into the passenger seat without hesitation. You didn't argue and climbed into the back with Miranda. Terry activated the directions on her phone map and acted as their navigator, directing Cove to the crepes. The GPS tried to get Cove to turn into a non-existent road once and wanted him to do a U-turn instead of just using a left turn, but with Terry looking at the actual path, it went smooth enough. You were led to a small stall in a parking lot rather than a full building. Okay. That explained why there hadn't been any pictures of the creperies interior, and why it was still new to you despite living in this town your entire life. It was a completely new structure that popped up recently. There was a window you could walk up to and one for cars to drive up to. Cove parked with a laugh. I don't think I need to put a shirt on for this, but I still want to try it. Let's go. Do you not trust us to eat in your car? She gestured to the drive-thru option. Cove shook his head with a snort. I trust some people here, maybe, but wouldn't it be more fun to actually check it out? Everyone acknowledged his point and piled out. Terry tried to tease Cove a little, but Miranda started talking about the last time she had crepes. Apparently, they'd been a dessert explosion, topped with multiple sauces, powdered sugar, and what Miranda was pretty sure had to be cake icing. That's sweet. Literally. It was so good, but I regretted it so much. I couldn't finish it, and I really tried. You can do it this time, Randy. Okay. There were some laughs. When you got up to the menu, you realized that there were more than just crepes. There were definitely crepes, many crepes. However, the stall also had a lot of different drinks as well. Teas, smoothies, milkshakes. Jackpot. She grinned and held out her fist for a fist bump. Miranda high-fived it. The two stared at the awkward, vaguely turkey-shaped hand configuration they had made and then slowly put their hands down. Cove's mouth twitched in a smile. You stepped up to order first. You glanced at the menu. I guess I'll get both. Sure, why not? Hello, I'd like to get a crepe and a drink, please. There was a woman who looked a little older than you taking the orders. She smiled back at you, ready to hear the specifics of your purchase. For the crepe itself, I've never had crepes before. I like chocolate. Sounds like a good option, right? For the filling and toppings. Oh, okay, hold on, back. We're just talking about like the crepe itself. Let's go plain then. Filling and toppings. I don't know what goes in a crepe. I've never been interested in crepes. with chocolate syrup sounds good. Powdered sugar, why not? Strawberry banana whipped cream, maybe? I have no idea. I've never had a crepe. That sounds good to me. That's it. After you picked the size, you were asked what you wanted to drink. You ordered, an iced latte. I was so ready to go latte or frappe or whatever it is. Frappe on the list. Iced coffee. You could also add a mix-in or toppings for the drink. No? You paid and stepped aside to let your friends order. Cove got a lemon crepe with powdered sugar on top and the mixed berries. He also got a plain strawberry smoothie. Terry went crazy with the toppings. Although she ordered a plain crepe, she had it smothered with whipped cream, cream cheese, chocolate chips, chocolate syrup, and bananas. Miranda opted for a frappe with caramel syrup and condensed milk, but not a crepe. The four of you stood off to the side as you waited for your treats. I heard what you ordered, Kit. Glad I'm not the only one to go for a drink and a crepe. I couldn't pick just one, and why not? Exactly, it's gonna be good. Kit, man, your crepe is gonna rock. I don't know, I've never had one before. I just kinda kept going. High five for topping appreciation. She held her hand out expectantly. Oh, yes. You fist bumped her palm. Terry stared at your hands. She blinked. She looked between Miranda and you. Is this just a thing now? I don't know what you mean. Miranda's voice was surprisingly serious, while her face looked like she was seconds away from laughing. Terry shook her head dramatically. Order for Kit. Oh, that's me. I'm Kit. You grabbed your order. The others didn't take much time after that. With the goods collected, everyone admired their treats. Terry dug right into hers, and Miranda gave hers a tentative sip. Terry nodded acceptingly with her mouth completely full. Miranda tilted the frappe over to her with a grin. Terry sipped it, and clearly loved it. She raised her crepe over to Miranda. You could tell that there was an intent to make it look nice, but with all the assorted toppings piled on, only so much could be done. Miranda took a huge bite with gusto and sighed happily. Terry seemed satisfied and took another slurp of Miranda's drink. Okay. They had both only gotten one thing, probably because they knew they'd end up sharing. Cool. You said nothing and started consuming. You tasted your order and let out a happy sigh. You paid little attention to your friends and just focused on what you had. With that, Cove started to eat his treats in earnest. You saw him take a huge gulp of his smoothie, and then, without swallowing, he added a bite of his lemon crepe. His habit of mixing foods together wasn't anything new. He hummed in satisfaction, so you guessed he must have liked the combined flavor. Cove? Terry tore off a piece of her crepe and held it out to Cove. Care to make a trade? Sure. Instead of continuing to loiter in the parking lot, the four of you started to walk down the sidewalk. There was a lot of sharing going on, with crepe bits and toppings being passed around. You wouldn't have been surprised if Terry ended up drinking more frappe than Miranda did. You kept going down the way, eating, drinking, and chatting. You hadn't realized just how far the group had wandered until you ended up at the now leaving sign. Apparently, you were just about to walk right out into the middle of nowhere. Terry took her mouth off of Miranda's straw and stopped sipping the frappe. Impossible. Preposterous. How are we already at the end? I always forget how tiny this town really is. Cove chuckled a little and swallowed a chunk of Terry's crepe. Kinda is, huh? It didn't feel that small when we were growing up. It definitely felt bigger then. There was a time when Sunset Bird had felt huge. It seemed as endless as the ocean. There was always some street you hadn't wandered down, something new for the tourists. But now, you realized it was just a pond in this big, big world. Seeing the definite end only reinforced this. Here was the boundary that proved your hometown could be walked out of with ease. I guess this means we should probably head back. One doesn't just walk into nowhere land. We're not only one, Terry, there's 4 of us. Terry scrunched up her face, not wanting to acknowledge the bad joke. She decided to ignore it. It stinks having to go all the way back. Yeah, but it's not like there's anything out in that direction. And if we did end up going forward, it'd be an even longer trip home. He stared off into the stretch of road as Cove agreed that he didn't want to go out any further. Can we take a break here first before we turn around? We've been walking for a while and someone finished my drink. Right on cue, Terry loudly sucked air from the straw. It was so good. Miranda looked at her, but Terry remained unrepentant. In the end, though, it was agreed to hang out around the sign before heading back to the car. It didn't take long to finish the rest of the food and drinks. Everyone gathered up the trash and stuffed it into bags and pockets for now. The group relaxed on the grass, keeping account of all the cars that drove past. It was not a high number. 14. The newest passing car drove into town from somewhere outside. But as the vehicle came by, it slowed down and he watched as it ultimately rolled to a complete stop. The black car parked right by the now leaving sign. Everyone exchanged a baffled look. But then the tinted window rolled down and the driver peered out. As soon as you saw his hair, you recognized him. No one else you knew presented themselves so distinctively. Oh, hey! I'm trying to think of characters who have really distinctive hair, and my brain was going, Jeremy? I don't know, I forgot about you. Hey, neighbors. Cove openly sighed when he recognized him, afterwards sucking suckily at the straw of his long empty drink. Hi. You inhaled and tried to be loud enough to account for the distance and the car noises. It's nice to see you again. Somehow he was able to project his voice in such a way that it still sounded smooth, even though he was definitely speaking loudly. You wondered where he'd learned to do that. And you thought about the odd picture this made. A fancy black car pulled over to talk to a group of teens, mostly still in beachwear. Miranda was incredibly confused and shrank back to watch. Terry tilted her head in an unspoken question. Cove made a quick gesture pointing towards Baxter, and a light bulb went off for Terry. Oh, that's the new person in the condo, the B-man, right? Yeah, Baxter. Oh, I wasn't sure if I'd ever actually see him. Her voice was quiet. Miranda usually got shy around new people. Terry was quite the opposite. Incredible, this is perfect. Terry hopped up from the grass and ran to Baxter's car, all full of excitement. Behind her, Miranda picked herself up and dusted imaginary dirt off of her clothes. She sent a searching look to you and Cove, to which Cove shrugged. Miranda nodded and, with clenched fists, hesitantly followed Terry. Terry bent down to talk to Baxter through his window. She blasted through introductions, with Miranda putting in a shy wave. Cove looked at you. He still clearly had no intention of going over. Come on, it will be fun. We're neighbors. Are you seriously going to sit in the grass? Come on, time to get up and be polite. Cove pouted. His cheeks flared out in a childish puff. I don't wanna. I don't know what to say. You can go, I'll just wait until he's gone. You can survive Baxter for a few minutes. Do you want to be the only person who doesn't go and see him? Well, why can't you stay here with me instead? He sighed. He was definitely going to be difficult about this. Some days he really was that same grouchy 8-year-old we met all those years ago. Do you really hate him that much? No, I don't hate him. I get weird around him. I know his forwardness bothers you, but think of him like Terry. She's super friendly and loves to chat with new people. She's doing it right now. Terry doesn't hit on me. Terry doesn't hit on you, if that's what he's doing. Baxter says serious things when I don't think he's actually very serious. That's what bothers me. He'll be alright. He tried to do less of that with you, and we'll all be there. With an unnecessarily whiny groan, he relented. Fine, let's go. Slowly, progress forward was made until you two arrived at the driver's side car window. Baxter smiled welcomingly. Hello? Hey. Cove greeted him mildly, his expression cautious. Sup? Baxter gestured to Miranda and Terry. I just rented this car for my stay here and was coming back from a bit of sightseeing when I spotted your crowd. And these two were kindly introducing themselves. Yep, it's only polite. Speaking of polite, Baxter is giving us a ride. I was asking him to. What? Baxter shrugged guiltily, seeing Cove's dramatic reaction. The offer's open, and we're taking it. Okay. Yeah, okay. You're just happy to get a ride. Regardless of anything else, you don't have to walk back. That's what counted, and you were grateful for Terry for arranging it. Alrighty, plan made. Let's hop in. You excitedly opened the passenger side door and buckled yourself in. The car was pristine, and you were right near the new car-scented air freshener. Gross. I hate the scent of new car. Baxter had the air conditioner on cold, but low, so it was pleasantly cool inside. A nice relief from the summer sun you had been baking in all day. Your friends clambered on in the back. It definitely seemed the slightest bit squished back there. Welcome to my vehicle. I hope everyone is comfortable, and if someone could point me in the right direction, we can be on our way. He began to explain where he would come from. It was pretty easy to direct him straight down the road and one turn into a parking lot. Baxter nodded from up in the driver's seat and pulled back into the road. Luckily, the street was still dead empty. It took no time at all for Baxter to park right next to Cove's car. There wasn't even enough time for a proper conversation to start. The occupants didn't seem to mind. There were smiles all around when Baxter parked next to Cove's car. Woo! Miranda clapped quietly as Terry cheered. Cove chuckled nervously. Yippee! He clapped as well. He joined in on the celebration. Baxter gave a couple polite claps as well. We've arrived. That was easy. Terry flung open her door and climbed out. Thanks. Everyone else exited the car as well. The group thanked Baxter with varying degrees of enthusiasm. Baxter himself got out too. Everyone congregated again in front of Baxter and Cove's cars. Cove looked at the back of his and frowned. He finally discovered the wash me you'd put on it. Huh, I wonder who did that. He snickered along with Miranda, who realized you'd been caught. It's a mystery. Right. Terry bounced over to Baxter and offered her hand for a handshake. He accepted it easily with a charming grin. You're a pal. Too kind. It was no trouble whatsoever. I'll be keeping this car all summer. If it suits you, you're welcome to take my number and give me a ring whenever you're in need of another ride. That goes for everyone here. I have a car. Terry busted into laughter and Miranda fidgeted. She did not know what to do with that. Baxter really went fast, didn't he? He noticed her discomfort and smiled with a soft tilt of the head. I'd be happy to help again, but that's the only reason I offered. If you don't need it, you can pass on it. Damn! Damn! No, I'll stay silent. When her giggles subsided, Terry put a hand on her chin with her brows furrowed. Listen, technically speaking, like, we're neighbors. I do not need your number. I could just go down the street. I wonder, would that option be available right now? You could valet us somewhere cool. What? Cove was taken aback. He put a hand on the hood of his car. Weren't we going back to the neighborhood? Wasn't Baxter going back to the neighborhood too? Why would we go somewhere else? Because we can. Miranda squirmed nervously and then committed to piping up. We could go to the park near my place. It's a really nice place to hang out. You and Cove shared a look. The big park was pretty nice. Let's do it. Baxter tapped the side of his face and thought, sounds doable. He glanced at Cove and then switched focus to you. Well, we have 2 cars. If some people want to go to the park, I could still take the others home. But if everyone's going, it wouldn't make sense for me not to. Okay, let's go to the park. We're chillin'. You weren't ready to tag out yet. You came to a decision and turned to Cove. Let's go to the park. Alright. Park time it is. He smiled a little. Terry cheered and Miranda nodded happily. He felt like he'd made a good decision. To the car! Again! Yeah, whatever car that might be. He gestured at Cove and then to Baxter, seeing who would volunteer. Cove sighed and ran a hand through his hair. He tapped on his car's hood nervously. We can go in Baxter's, I guess. It'd be less of a pain than bringing both. We're all going to the same place. Are you okay with that, Baxter? Certainly, I meant what I said. If you need a lift, I can give it. Neither you nor Terry brought up any objections, so the gang climbed back into Baxter's nice ride. This time, Baxter offered to turn on some music. After all, it would be a little bit of a drive to the park. Okay. Play whatever. Yeah, I'd like to see what kind of stuff a guy like you is into. I hope the playlist lives up to expectations. He plugged in his phone to the car with an aux cord and turned on some alternative music. Not what I expected out of you, but okay. One of my favorites. With the music taken care of, Baxter put the car in drive and pulled out of the parking lot. The lot was practically empty, but you noticed that he was careful anyways. During the trip, it changed to hard rock, punk, and even screamo. Despite his personable demeanor, he didn't seem to like upbeat tracks. Interesting. It took a while to arrive. By the time you got there, the sun was golden with the orange streaks of sunset. Everyone got out of the car and started to stroll along the paths. You walked by the basketball court and some picnic tables, taking in the sights. Miranda seemed amazingly content, the location helping her relax in the company. She led the way, sometimes stopping here or there to point something out. Baxter turned to her and nodded along. I've never been here, but I definitely see the appeal. Man, this is Randy's stomping ground. She's been coming here forever. Seriously, Miranda, have you ever had a birthday party that wasn't here? You've missed out, Baxter, because every year she has a blowout party at the park. Imagine, balloons everywhere. Miranda looked down, suddenly shy again with the attention on her. She let out an awkward laugh. Yeah, every year. Actually, my birthday is where I first started to get to know Cove and Kit. She smiled and then pointed to a wide flat spot on the grass. Remember the bounce house? I remember. He chuckled, and you could practically see those old memories on his face. It was a party for the ages. You were great. I miss parties like that. Everyone's too cool for bounce houses. The group followed Miranda along to one of the picnic tables. She took a seat and Terry slid in beside her. They spent the evening chatting amongst each other. Everyone got to know Baxter a little better, although you could tell that Cove and him still hadn't fully clicked. At one point, Miranda found an abandoned soccer ball and started tossing it around. To me! Miranda threw the ball to her. Terry caught it with a smile. Think fast. She chucked it at Baxter, who only had enough time to squeak. It bounced off of his chest and he stared at it, dazed. He blinked as if he needed time to process what exactly had happened, but then he grinned dangerously. He rushed after the ball and, rather than throwing it back, he surprised Terry and everyone else by lobbing the ball high into the air. You bent your neck back to watch his descent in inevitable decline. Baxter hooked it with his foot and launched it up again. There were oohs and ahs from Terry and Miranda. Baxter gave them a very proper bow. When it finally fell to the ground for real, Cove was the one who picked it up. He was impressed, and he wanted in. With that, everyone was drawn into the game. It was unspoken that whoever did the fanciest trick won. Most of the gang was not particularly practiced with throwing a ball, so not many of the tricks were actually good. However, there was a lot of laughter, and you got to see Miranda pull off a round-off where she threw the ball with her feet, so that was cool. The sunset eventually darkened into night, and the streetlights turned on. The group's chosen picnic table laid in a bubble of light. The occasional bug cast a shadow as they flew by. It's a little strange being here so late on a normal night. Usually that only happens if there was a party or an important game or a fireworks show. Fireworks! Her yell startled Baxter, who was throwing the ball nonchalantly from hand to hand. He missed catching it, and it sailed sadly back to the ground. He looked at Terry for her loud outburst. I just remembered there's going to be a fireworks show tonight. It's in the city. At everyone's questioning look, she huffed and tried to explain further. It's some celebration for the opening of something. I don't remember what. I don't think we could get into the actual event anyways. But we should still be able to see the show if we get close. You can't keep explosions in the sky away from public. Cove raised an eyebrow and drummed his fingers on the table below him. You want to change locations again? Wasn't the last 2 times enough? Terry rolled her eyes and then shook her head. To her, it was obvious. There'll be a wet blanket, Cove. What about you, Kit? Randy? Baxter? Don't you want to see fireworks? I just want to go with the flow, so I guess I don't say anything. No? That's not what I meant. It's fireworks. We could go. I guess they are fireworks. Alright, whatever. What's one more scene change? Yes, I knew this was a good idea. In turn, 4 sets of eyes looked to Baxter. As the driver his answer made, or broke the plan. He chuckled softly. In for a penny, in for a pound. I'll go. Genuinely, there's nothing better to occupy my time tonight. We better hurry or we might miss it. Cove rolled his eyes but laughed. Everyone headed back to the car again. Carrie brought out her phone to navigate to the city and Baxter stepped on the gas. You were on your way. Baxter drove past buildings aglow in warm yellow light that cut through the navy black night. One office building had bright LED lights that cycled through a whole rainbow of hues. It was difficult to get through all the traffic on the road, let alone find parking this late at night. Luckily, Miranda had eagle eyes when it came to scoping out a spot. She pointed to a sedan pulling out, and Baxter parked within seconds. Not wanting to miss the show, you all raced down to the waterfront walkway to find a place with a good view. What about here? Cove peered across the rails into the distance and shot her a thumbs up. It was relatively quiet, isolated, and you could see skyscrapers. That was a good sign, based on where Terry thought the event was. Yes, this should work out just fine. She stopped and tried to catch her breath, her hands on her knees. Miranda leaned against the wall between establishments as she recovered. Cove took a moment to breathe as well, stretching his spine back. He looked up at the sky in wonder and let out a relieved sigh. Think we missed anything? Not a chance. Nothing's happening and we can't be so late that we missed everything. Maybe it'll start soon. You felt pretty laid back about the whole thing. Sure, the fireworks were something that you'd like to see, but you weren't overly invested in the show. You were with your friends, and that was already something. Fireworks would happen, or they wouldn't. You could accept it either way. Terry led Miranda to sit down on the oval slabs along the path. Miranda took a seat and began tapping her knees together as she waited. Terry, meanwhile, crouched more than sat. Baxter smiled politely and looked from you to Cove. He seemed to be waiting for one of you to speak first, rather than waiting to directly start a conversation. Something seemed to strike Cove as he tried unsuccessfully to hide a smile. We're all still in swimsuits. Wearing beachwear in the middle of the city in the dark while waiting for a fireworks show was clearly the joke of the day for him. Cove snorted once, then looked back up at the sky. A flash lit up the sky with a brilliant green. Your eyes flew off the building in the distance and silently watched with bated breath. You heard a second boom, and a red firework lit up the sky. Ooh, the show's starting. So pretty. They came running over to get closer, positively beaming. Terry pressed herself to the waterfront fence, getting as close as physically possible without just going swimming again. More fireworks set off, shooting out hundreds of tiny, sparkling lights. The colors stood out starkly against the dark of the night. The biggest ones washed your surroundings with their hue, turning your world blue, then red, and then golden. Did I deliver, or did I deliver? Miranda's eyes glittered and she lightly bumped Terry with her hip. Good job. Terry stumbled at the friendly nudge, but was pleased with the compliment. She grinned back. Miranda lightly swung her hips the opposite way to give you a bump as well. It was friendly and soft. We did it. You gave her a little push in turn with a laugh. You were glad that everyone seemed to be having a good time. Cove stared up at the sky with wonder while Terry squealed in joy after a series of especially grand explosions. Miranda pointed to one that was shooting up and then gasped when it bloomed and turned into a huge sphere of violet light. Baxter smiled in appreciation. It was good to see your friends in high spirits. The rest of the group huddled around the railing to take in the show as closely as possible. Miranda stood close by, Terry's hands gripped at the top. Cove laid his arms across it while leaning forward, and Baxter rested his elbows on the rail, putting his back towards the fireworks. He seemed to have more fun watching the others than the actual show. Ooh! She pointed out a golden firework and beamed. Ah, that's so cool! Terry held up a hand for a high five, and Miranda obliged her. Damn it, I really thought that they'd do this again. Terry whooped and shot you a smile. What color do you think the next one will be? Without giving Baxter a glance, Cove answered immediately. Green. Huh. I would have said gold. It was orange. I'll take it. Baxter chuckled, but he wasn't interested in calling Cove out for being wrong. Is that your favorite color? Green? It's one of them. I think that's nice. Matches you. And is yours black? One of them. Cove smirked just a little at the conversation there. I'm standing wherever the hell I'm standing. I don't know. I guess next to Cove. Cove looked away from the fireworks and grinned at you. He was glad to be spending time with you and tilted his head at a spectacular multicolored firework above. I think that's been my favorite so far. He shot you another look and nodded, wanting you to move up closer. In front of him, you could see the night's lights reflected on the water. No. He stayed like that. You stood next to him. Both of you were content to watch the show, side by side. You took a moment to watch him and the fireworks reflected in his eyes. Cove grinned like a kid. Cove's gaze drifted from the show of dazzling lights straight at you, and he sighed dreamily. You didn't know when you'd last seen him so blissful. The spectacle continued to up the ante by bringing more fireworks out at a time. The colors danced across the sky and reflected over the water. This feels so damn long. Like, I get it, it's fireworks. It's over now. You reached out a hand and watched as it was tinted green while a big boom sounded. Fireworks were a normal summer tradition, but this was admittedly an unconventional approach. Showing up in the city last minute to watch a display from a technically private event? I made this feel special in a way that just planning to go to a public fireworks show never would. Terry's idea might not have left you with a lot of time to prepare, but sure led to a unique situation. It was clear this was an unforgettable night. As the finale sounded, blazing the sky with unbelievable beauty, you remembered thinking that there might never be a night exactly like this one again. Not for the rest of your life. You planned to hold on to the feelings you had in that moment for as long as you could. It was definitely interesting, but, it was a hang session, you know? I get why it was called that, but we are at an hour. It seems like the further we go into this game, the longer the moments are, because it used to be in step 1 that I could do 2 to 3 moments in a single episode, and now I guess I can only do 1 moment in a single episode because we're at an hour. But I hope you're having fun with this, because I know I definitely am, and I hope you're excited for the next episode where we go on an errand, because I'm excited to hop right into it. I'll see you then, though.